What's up, dudes? It's Molly. I just woke up. I feel like I am channeling, so anything I say is part of your message. I'm just gonna comb my hair. I'm waiting for my coffee to get ready. Spirit wants me to talk about the holidays. The holidays can be very, very lonely. Especially if you're in an isolation period. So, getting like real serious here. Let's talk about different things. A lot of people my age, so I am 50, and my generation is either like 15 years up or down, either one. Very loose, no hard lines. If you grew up, if you are high functioning spectrum-y type of a person, they're guaranteed you didn't get any help growing up. You probably heard a bunch of times in your life, stop being so sensitive. So when you get an autism diagnosis, it might start with your kid. That's how it started with me. It started with my daughter. My daughter got diagnosed in 6th grade. And then it slowly unfolded that, yes, it's true. I too am spectrum. And once you learn about high functioning autism, what that truly means, your life kind of, you go through this whole different cycles. First there's a shame cycle, then there's this kind of an awakening type cycle, then there's a relief cycle, and then there's a curiosity cycle, and then there's standing in your power at the end. When you learn, autism isn't just these stigmas that you have preconceived in your head. There's the whole sexy side of autism. There's a whole cool side of geniuses, geniusy type people, highly intelligent people that can manifest. All right. So I got my diagnosis. Spectrum-y, creative genius. On a side note, my son's father, that I'm not with any longer, he too got a diagnosis. He is a genius, and he too is on the spectrum. My son is highly intelligent. So, me and both my kids, new kind of people. We've all had the turn of the evolutionary wheel. I hear that. So, then you get this like relief where you're like, oh, this vague, sad question mark I've been living with my whole life, this is what it is. And then you like come to terms with it or whatever. And then you might start telling people. And that's where a horrible experience can come in. And it's actually pretty common. People will not accept what you tell them. But you don't act autistic. You don't look autistic. Yeah, like autism doesn't have a look. It's internal, not external. I told my family, my immediate family did not accept it. My sister screamed at me on the phone, bullshit, prove it. I've decided you're bipolar. My sister, who's never stepped foot in a psychology office. And I said, I'm not bipolar. No, I don't behave like a bipolar person. I'm not diagnosed as bipolar. No, I'm autistic. I'm gonna send you and my mother a 10-minute video explaining autism. Explaining what autism in women means. I sent it to my family and they refused to watch it. And then they shunned me. Created a false reality about me. Like a week later, I called crying. Why won't you watch the video? I'll watch it on my own time. That's what I was told. My family blew apart when Iraq, my dad, died. Who, in hindsight, I wonder if my dad was spectrum-y. You could tell my dad, like, any mathematical question, and he could just tell it right back to you. So then finally, my family decided to watch the video after I cried and basically just had to allow them to do what they were doing. I heard nothing back from my sister about it. And my mother called me back and said, well, do you think you're going to get those earbuds? What? Yeah, the video on autism was sponsored by an earbud thing. And then my family shunned me again. I haven't talked to my sister in a year. When I did talk to them, my family has been going through a breakup, I guess you would say. A blow up is more like it. I tried to work it out with my family members. I said, why did you do that to me? And their response to me was, I don't know. We're moving forward. All the past holidays, let's say the past 4 years, I sit alone in my bedroom. My ex's family comes over to the house. They're not coming this year, so I have a respite of being Cinderella. They come over to my house pig out at my house, leave a giant mess, nobody bothers helping clean up anything, and then leave. And I have to clean up the whole mess because my ex has no problem living in a blown up kitchen for 2 weeks. He lives in the basement. I live upstairs with my daughter. I have no one to help me. So I had to, when I got my diagnosis, I lost my family. They refused to accept the truth. And I still, to this day, have no idea why my family has shunned me. I'm now at 3,200 videos. I've had a very successful career as an artist. I have been highlighted several times by some major museums here in the Twin Cities, the Walker Art Center in particular. Not one person in my family has ever come to support me, ever, in my artistic endeavors. They've never shown up. They've never taken the time. I have 3,200 readings. Not one person in my family acknowledges what I do, who I am, my spiritual work. They don't watch the channel. Or if they do, the last thing they do will acknowledge that they watched the channel. Can you imagine your family member doing something 3,200 times and not giving a shit? My close friends have never acknowledged my spiritual work. Ever. I've never heard a friend say to me, "I'm proud of what you do." And I say it to them all the time. So, there's lots of people that, and there's videos of other spectrum-y people who say the same thing has happened to them. Their family refuses to accept it. I think part of it is because there's a lot of trauma, a lot of horrible behavior that has happened. And for certain people to accept that they did that on somebody who they created a false reality about, they'd have to look at their own horseshit behavior. And it's easier to just live in a false reality and shun and ignore in whatever their scapegoat. My whole life, I grew up hearing, "Stop being so sensitive." So Thanksgiving, like the holidays, can be very, very lonely, especially if you are awakened and other people around you are not. A lot of triangulation can happen. And triangulation in this kind of thing is, look, we're all together. My whole family vacationed together on, they were all together when the anniversary of my dad's death happened. And his birthday was a couple days before that. They were all together. Not one person called me, checked up on me. No, they were all in the process of shunning me. And I later asked my mother, why did you do that to me? And she said, I don't really know what happened. But we're moving forward now. Then she got mad at me and hung up on me. Because the truth, everyone would have to accept their horrible behavior. And my sister, she said, bullshit, prove it. I've decided you're bipolar. I'm the only person in my family that has done extensive therapy. I started when I found out my daughter's father had an affair. So the way that unfolded for me was I was sitting in the living room years ago, and Spirit said, go check your phone bill. And I had never looked online at my phone bill ever. He just paid for it. I have like a block on numbers, and he has always done the bills. I just give him my money, and that becomes our money, and he does all the bills. So I went and I looked. To make a real long story short, I looked at on the computer at the phone bill for the very first time, and I noticed there was this part where you could click on text activity. So I clicked on it, and then I clicked on his, and you couldn't see the texts, but you could see incoming and then the time, outgoing and then the time. So you could see like incoming, like he had a text coming in at this time, and then he outdid a text at that time, that kind of stuff. And I looked and I said, there's this phone number. I counted it 67 times. Who is this phone number? Wait a minute. Incoming at 11:45 p.m. Back and forth until 2 a.m. Oh shit. I picked up my phone. I dialed in that number in my phone to see if it was a mutual friend or something. No. Right then, my sister called. This was before all my family blew up. My sister called. And I answered the phone, and she immediately said, what's going on? She could tell just by the way I said hello. And I said, there's a phone number. And she immediately knew. She said, give me the number right now. I'm going to call it. I'll call you back. And she called back. She said it went straight to voicemail, and it wasn't a voice message. I called my husband at work, and I said, whose number is this? And he said, oh, it's a chick from work. Yeah. Boom. Life blown up. My husband's in a full-blown affair. Hit me like a Mack truck. More compound trauma. We ended up doing marriage counseling. Spent $5,000 on marriage counseling. The marriage counselor told me and him that you have to do individual counseling too. So I started doing individual counseling. And I started going down a path of my own self-healing. He did, I think, one, and then he set up an appointment for the second one, and he never went. I ended up doing extensive EMDR to help heal my childhood trauma. My therapist, she made it real clear. She was like a not just your average EMDR type person. She had extensive training in it. And if you don't know what EMDR is, what it is it's basically kind of hypnotizing you to reset new neural pathways in your brain. So think of a cart that's like takes the same route every time on the road, and the wheels have divots in them. And I grew up with a lot of trauma because I was high functioning autistic and never got diagnosed, help, anything. No compassionate interpretation came my way ever. And so with that comes a lot of trauma. So imagine the cart just constantly going in a never-ending figure eight, to say it like that. And the wheels of the wagon create these huge ruts in the path. That's what goes on in your head. Lots of negative talk, trauma. And so what EMDR is a therapist will sit in front of you and they'll either take their finger or a pen or whatever and just go whoop, 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 and you follow it with your eyes and that eye movement back and forth, and then you do therapy, kind of a therapy session in between it. What that is doing is it's tunneling new pathways in your brain through your eye movements. It's all very scientific. And it's helping your cart like skateboard ramp off. A skateboard ramp might mean something. Off the rut and onto a new healthy part of your brain that's not called trauma. And so I did that. I did individual counseling. I took my mental health really, really seriously. My ex did not. The last day, and then my therapist was retiring. And I was moving on. I had to put my money toward another thing. And she said to me, Molly, you are going to be just fine. Just remember, you will never get the emotional support you need from these narcissistic people. You will have to look elsewhere for it. If you can remember that, you will be just fine. So I am the only person in my family who has done current, extensive therapy to try to self-heal and better myself and understand myself and understand my trauma, and further try to understand the trauma of other people around me so I can try to compassionately interpret their horrible fucking behavior towards me, their bullying, their smear campaigns, their shunning and ignoring, their cruelty, their ridiculing, me sobbing on the phone and them making fun of me, and then icing me out. This is very common. Because, why is this so common? So if you're a high functioning spectrum and you're like, family, here's the deal. Yeah, you may expect your family to say, oh, honey, come, let me give you a hug. A lot of times that doesn't happen. Because if the family members accept reality, then they will have to accept their own horrible behavior on an innocent. So I have spent all of the past Thanksgivings alone in my room. My sister called me a couple Thanksgivings ago, started to talk to me right before Thanksgiving. And I said, why have you done this to me? See, all you want to do is fight. I already told you, I don't know why I did. We're moving forward, but you can't seem to move forward. I had decided I want my family around me on Thanksgiving. This is what was coming to me. And I was going to invite you over for Thanksgiving. I told my husband I want my family here. And I was going to invite you over for Thanksgiving, but now I'm not. Hang up on me and shun me again. For me asking why I was treated so horribly and told, bullshit, prove it. It went like this. Bullshit, prove it. Who's your therapist? When did you get your diagnosis? Prove it. No, I decided you're bipolar. So I have been truly alone, learning who I am, surrounded by abuse constantly coming at me. And I didn't let any of these low vibrational demons that are making these people who are supposed to love me treat me so horribly. I have not allowed them to take me down. I have been deep in the pits of despair through my diagnosis, and it has been completely alone. And it's all because they would have to accept their own horrible behavior towards me. Their false realities would crumble. And I never, ever, 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 ever thought my family would blow up like this. And unfortunately, this is common for late-term autism diagnosis. And if this is happening to you, I'm so sorry. And if you're alone on Thanksgiving, just know you're not the only one. I'll try to find some videos that kind of explain what happens with late autism diagnosis. It will set you free. You will meet your authentic self. But people who have been abusing your authentic self will not accept it. They may create false realities about you, false stories, gossip, do a smear campaign on you. I tried talking to my sister. My sister, her temper got the best of her, and she started screaming at me. Said, you don't have any friends. You don't go anywhere. You never leave the house. I haven't seen my sister in over a year. I said, that's just untrue. I do have friends, and I do leave the house all the time. Like, you're creating a false reality about me, and who are you telling this to? I mean, like, you guys see it. I'm driving in my videos. I'm going places all the time. I go out to lunch with my girlfriends all the time. But people will create a false reality about you, and they'll ride hard on it, and they'll tell other people this kind of stuff. And it's the ultimate betrayal. And they'll have no problem spewing it in your face. And that is its own trauma. Like, you're a day of reckoning. It's the truth. The truth has come out. So if you're going through a similar thing, I'm so very sorry. I have cried a million tears. I have sobbed a million times. On my 50th birthday, I got a short text from my sister and a short text from my mother. Nobody called me. Well, my kids did, but they're all out together, going out to eat, getting to know my mom's new boyfriend, who happens to be a millionaire. And everybody just went on without me. Now, there's a new reality. There's an inheritance that's in play. And once again, I will be eating Thanksgiving all by myself. I won't be eating Thanksgiving. So there's the truth. Nobody I know has ever acknowledged any of my work, any of my spiritual work, any of my autism work. I haven't heard very proud of you, anything like that. And I stopped waiting to hear it because it's not going to come. That's the sad reality. in a dysfunctional family. So if you're feeling very alone, very sad, just know that you're not the only one this happens to. And I'm so sorry. And me personally, I am so very proud of you. And I love you. And I hope you love you. There's today's morning message.